We'll be starting in 10 minutes. We're just getting stuff set up.
Modern medical route. Sometimes
Hey, George. Hopefully this music works.
Hey, hi. Yeah. For those who just joined us, we're getting started on the hour, but we're just assembling right now. Hey, Jason, I can play some crowd noises too.
Sounds good. Which one did I make? I'm just trying to find the wisdom talk right now.
Yeah, go handle the technical stuff. I'll hold things down over here.
Okay, I'm going to mute my mic then.
No problem. Whoops, the music went away when he mutes his mic. I don't know if he realizes that. If he can still hear me.
I do, yeah.
Okay.
I'm just gonna bring the other channels in by accident if I have my mic not muted.
Okay, that's fine. You can mute your mic. We'll get rid of the music and we'll just chat here.
It's good. I'll just make sure it's good.
Yeah, no problem. We are flexible. We're nothing if not flexible. I thought he was going to mute his mic, though.
Oh.
We're still hearing it, Jason.
Oh, you want me to mute? Sure.
I don't know. I thought you... it's up to you. I thought you said you wanted to mute it, or it would bring in all the other channels. That may be good. That may be bad. I don't know. Your choice. Just so we can chat here. Hi, Dr. M. How you doing?
doing well, thank you. How are you?
Okay, very good, very good. You will be one of the participants today, I think. Yes, absolutely. Looking forward to it.
That's right.
Yeah,
yes, looking forward to this.
Looking
Absolutely.
forward to it. It's going to be one wild party, I hope, but constructively wild. I see a lot of people are really eager. We got a lot of early comers here. Just a shout out and a wave to them. People are joining us. Let's bring in Samantha here. Add a speaker. Good. Hey, Samantha, how you doing?
I'm so excited to be here. Look at everyone. You are all going to witness a monumental moment with
hopefully.
Yeah, like hopefully. 12 or 13 of us quadcasting on 4 platforms with social audio, and everyone in the room here today gets to witness that. It's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool, but if the content is crap, it's not going to be any good at all. So the content's going to be great.
We want to for everyone. So, don't put the bar too high for a first out. We're all professional speakers. It's just landing the tech and professionalism at the same time is going to be a mastery.
Yep, exactly. Now, I'm not sure who is on the list and who's not on the list, and who's. So as you come in, request to speak, and I'll see the request. We were going to play music, but Jason had to mute his mic. We'll try to start as promptly on the hour as we possibly can. In the meantime, we'll chat a little bit. As I said before, we can play crowd. This is the crowd gathering. So we are just getting together.
Right. So what I'll do, George, in your DM, I'll send you a list of all of the speakers for today so that it won't get lost in the group DM. Okay.
Sure. Thanks. Appreciate it. But now I have to go and get DM from you. Okay. I'll get off the Space Avengers one.
Hey, I've got Wisdom LinkedIn. Clubhouse is LinkedIn, so we're just waiting. Cool. I just gotta get LinkedIn now.
Okay, great.
So Indra just needs to start the event on LinkedIn.
Now, will she stay over there, or will she be coming over here? Well, my more general question is: will all of the participants today be on Spaces, or we're going to have to deal with multiple platforms?
Yeah, that's the idea. Is we're linking in all the 4 different audio sites. Okay, so see.
Yeah, Indra said she opened it now.
Okay. It's a whole thing. I can play some music now because we're all linked in.
Oh, cool.
Sounds good.
Hello, Dr. M. Hello, Samantha.
Hi there.
Oh, there we go. LinkedIn starting up.
I can hear it cranking up. Crank.
Jason, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you from Wisdom.
Hey, Rev, how you doing?
Okay, so, hey, good. Hey, everybody. So you all can hear me through Wisdom. Are you all on Twitter right now?
Yep.
Yes, we are.
So
because
Jason,
the thing is, I think hold on, just give me 1/2 second. The thing is, I think that if I go on Twitter, I don't think I have any way to kill the Wisdom feed.
You'll get a background loop. Yes. That's the
only... with the mixed minus. So, but can I just talk from here? Is there going to be any kind of delay difference?
Nope. No delay at all.
No problem.
It's all seamless.
But I won't have a Twitter presence, which won't bring my people in, though. That's the problem.
Yes.
Yes. So, all right. I'll figure out the mixed minus thing next week. I might have to deal with hearing us all magnified, but I'll be quiet.
Rev, you can become a speaker on Twitter and mute your Twitter self, and your audio from Wisdom will come through me.
Good Lord, I don't even know what you just said, but we'll figure it out.
Join Twitter, mute yourself on Twitter,
okay.
Leave yourself on Wisdom, it will all work.
Holy cow, I love you, man. Okay, I'm doing it.
So, Jason, can I join on Clubhouse through an iPad?
Yep.
Thanks. I can't seem to figure out how to join your space on Clubhouse. I don't see it.
I'm pretty sure it's a public room. It's called the Conversationalists. Our differences are our strengths. It's in my house, the Paw Pack. It's a public room. I've pinged Michael Sterling. Indra, can you hear me on LinkedIn? Oh, I'm muted.
Not yet.
There we go. Now we're linked to LinkedIn.
Yes. Yes.
So Indra's.
Yes.
Oh,
Indra's coming.
So Indra, you'll have to. Yeah, you'll have to.
You
mute
need
yourself
headphones.
on.
Yeah. No, I just. I just did it. It's fine.
You can mute yourself on LinkedIn if you can, and I'll still be the link to all of this.
Okay, that's what I'll do.
Hey, Jason, pull me up, would you?
Yeah, it's working. Okay, so we have who we have. We'll get starting in a couple minutes here. Not everybody is going to be able to make it every week, and we'll have probably a revolving cast of characters for this. So we'll get going in about 2 minutes.
Perfect.
Jason, so is this working? I'm muted on Twitter, and you're hearing me just fine.
Yes, it's perfect.
Yep.
Oh, so exciting. Great to hear your voice, George. Okay.
Great to hear yours, Rev.
It's pretty weird, but it works.
Okay, we're going to all have to, I'm going to remind you again, but when we talk, we're going to have to use our first name because for a multitude of reasons that should be obvious. You'll get used to it. It's going to feel, for those of you who haven't done that before, it's going to feel very strange, but you'll get over it within minutes.
Do a demo.
This is George, and I just want to do it. This is a demo. Or I could say, this is a demo. This is George. You know.
Michael checking in from Clubhouse. How are we working over there?
I'm doing all right. How are you all doing?
Perfect.
Hey, Michael.
Sorry to cut a little bit close on timing. Hi there, George.
How you doing, Michael? Good to
I
hear
am
your
doing
voice.
okay.
Great.
Can you hear me?
Yes, and you're going to be participating from Clubhouse.
Clubhouse.
So you won't appear
Yes.
on the screen. So another obvious reason why we can't do hands raised today. So interactive.
So where are you, George?
Where am I? I'm in a state of excitement.
What platform?
Right. I'm on. You see, you got to be more specific. What platform? I'm on Twitter. On Spaces.
Twitter. Okay. I was thinking of pulling up Windows, at least like the Twitter space.
Yep, you can do that.
Just to see what's going on inside of all that. And so, yeah, I'll do that.
You could park yourself as a speaker, I believe, and mute park yourself in there, and that will bring people in on the Twitter, right? No reason not to do that for everybody that has to join from another platform.
That's true until we run out of speakers. So,
right, but they don't even have to be a speaker. They can just be in the room, and that will bring their crowd in.
That's true. Good point, Rev.
Everybody should be on Twitter if you're on a different platform because you still pull people in.
That's right. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, we'll get going.
I just want to say real quick, this is Revolution. Holy cow, this is fun. Okay, I'll be quiet.
Okay, I think
you'd like to be called Rev or Revolution?
Rev is or Revolution, doesn't matter.
Rev is fine.
Whatever you guys want. Yeah, Rev is always fine, my friend.
Okay, Rev's good. Rev it'll be. Just every second counts.
Okay, are we? I don't see Gia. We're missing Gia. But she may not make it today. Help me out, folks. Are we missing anybody else from that card list? I think we got most of everybody. Okay, I think we can probably get started. So a real quick intro before George, as my co-host runs through the speakers today. Thank you for coming to the first show. It's been fun organizing this. This is not something that I want to take on as myself for the entire run of this. And if you're listening to this and you are really involved in social audio and social audio is your passion, please DM one of the speakers today, because this is not a closed club. We're not trying to be exclusive. This is just like the first time we did this. And I kind of talk to the people that I know and I am in contact with the most. So I hope we're not hurting anybody's feelings who are listening that is big involved in social audio. Please just DM one of the speakers today, because this is not something that we can all make all the time. We're also linking 4 different social audio sites. So through my profile, you're going to hear Michael from Clubhouse, and folks, when we get to hello, thanks, Michael. We're also going to hear people from LinkedIn. Indra is our link to LinkedIn. Thanks, Indra. I really appreciate that. And then we have Rev, who's hosting a wisdom talk on wisdom right now. You'll see some profiles in the room, and it's all through the wonder of technology. My name is Jason Zakowski, and I am the dog dad of Bunsen and Beaker. So I'm going to throw this to George for the intros, and then we'll get going.
Okay. So look, here's the thing. If we each take a minute or two to introduce ourselves, we're going to eat up half the session. So instead, let's do a lightning round. 10 to 15 seconds each. Okay, 10 to 15 seconds. I'll serve as it'll also be a quick warm-up and demo of the interaction mode. So jump in when you're ready. Tell us your name, location, one quick thing about you that's relevant to this session today. To model it, I'll go first. I'm George Silverman, the Mind Skills guy in a suburb just north of New York City. I run spaces teaching the mental skills that are essential to happiness and success. Who'd like to jump in next?
I'm Revolution McKinnis. I am in Chicago, Illinois, and I am 100% about bringing people to my platform that we can elevate beyond. And wow, I love all the elevation I'm getting here.
Hi, everybody.
Ladies.
Go ahead.
Dr. Sure, I'll go. Sure. This is Dr. M speaking to you from Michigan. I'm a physician, consultant, and founder of ThoughtWorks, incubating and accelerating human development. I hold conversations here that hopefully result in growth for anyone involved.
Perfect.
Hey, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
Jason
I'll
said
stand by.
next, so I thought I'd jump in. So
you guys will sort it out. Go ahead.
All right. So everyone, I'm Samantha Postman from Alberta, Canada. I live just a little bit south of Jason from Bunsen Beaker, actually.
Woo, woo.
Yeah. And I'm the founder of a recently launched online community for modern polymaths called the Medici Modern Polymath Online Community. And I run spaces about polymaths as well as for business and thought leadership. Thank you.
Perfect.
All right, I'm really going this time. I'm Daryl with the dashes. I'm known on Wisdom to help people optimize from the inside out. I've spent 32 years in radio broadcasting. I'm glad to be on the panel.
That was 6 seconds. That was terrific. Thank you. Go ahead. Next.
Hello, everyone. I'm Indra Bartona, a producer in the film and television industry and a TV host, originally from the Gold Coast of Australia, now based in Los Angeles. I am the founder of the Positivity Vibe Tribe, and I run 3 spaces a week. Plus, I'm on all audio platforms and also YouTube, etc. Thank you so much.
Hi, this is Rose Horowitz. I'm a journalist and the founder of Women to Follow, which is a movement to amplify the voices of women on social media. I run shows about it, live stream shows, and social audio spaces. Thank you.
Hello, this is Jennifer Navaretta, known as E-Podcaster on Web 2 and Web 3. My focus is on podcasting on the production side, and I'm also big into Web 3. If you're a content creator, you're not looking at Web 3, you're missing out, friends.
Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Jasmine Berry. I am a research scientist and fellow at the University of Michigan, but I split my time between Michigan and Southern California. I also do some consulting and startup work in the health tech space as it relates to AI.
This is Michael Sterling in the call from Kansas City, and I'm on Clubhouse, primarily anchoring it there. I'm an audio engineer of more than 25 years and a content creator, and I help people to optimize their audio for things like social audio and podcasting and so on. And honestly, since college, when I was in a campus ministry and we had a program called Chats, I have loved a great conversation. So I'm really looking forward to this. Thank you.
Hey everyone, my name is Mariah Howard. I'm the founder of Made Marketing Agency, which is a full digital marketing agency for business development and startups. And I specialize specifically working with minorities and making sure that we can sustain our businesses and close the wealth gap.
Who let the dogs out? I'm Jason Zakowski. I'm the dog dad of Bunsen and Beaker, the Science Dogs, on social media. I'm the host of the Science Podcast, and I run 2 spaces a week. One where I bring science to everybody, and the other we build a pet community. I'm excited to be here.
And kept it within the time, even with the sound effects. Cool. Is that? I think that's everybody. Am I wrong?
We're good. That's everybody who showed up today.
Okay. Picking up on what Michael said about conversation, a lot of people, including me, have said conversation, the art of conversation is dying or damn near dead. I hope to prove myself wrong today, and everybody else who agrees with me about that to be wrong. Hopefully we'll have really have a great conversation and serve as an example to revive the art of conversation. We are going to be in interactive mode today. That doesn't mean that every one of these has to be in interactive mode, but Jason and I thought we'd try it. We'd start it out that way. Not all of you are used to it, so just a couple of quick words about it. Don't wait to be called on. Jump right in. You know when you have something to say. Jason and I don't. Try to build on the idea of the previous speaker if you can. Jump in at the time you feel appropriate, not just that we feel. So talk to each other, not just to Jason and myself. Ask each other questions, share ideas, acknowledge each other's contributions, build on their ideas, and respectfully give us your different perspective. When you talk, again, to repeat, use your first name at the beginning or end or middle of your first sentence or so. This is George, and I want to add to what Harry just said. Okay? Let's have a discussion, not just serial speech making or long free associational monologues. My phrase that you've heard many times is keep it pithy with a TH. Concise.
Hey,
rich.
remember the chat down there, folks.
Yep. Exactly. Good point. Rev, he forgot to use his name. We'll remind people for a while, and then they'll pick it up.
I am Revolution. Remember the chat there, folks.
Okay, so let's keep it all, concise, rich, short, to the point. Okay, so let's get to the first question. Anything else, Jason, before we get to the question?
No, I just helped organize this. I'm excited to hear what people have to say.
Yeah, and 3 cheers for Jason for organizing this. This was a monumental technical task that some of us don't even begin to understand. And I've got a mixer, and I'm pretty sophisticated with it. And still don't know how the hell you're doing all this. So
It's all good.
I'm the magician, but I love to watch other people's magic, and you definitely did a magic thing today. Okay, so let's get to the first question. Again, jump right in whenever you think your contribution is most relevant. So in general, our topic is our differences or our strengths. But as most of us have learned in spaces, naming a topic isn't quite enough. So let's focus it down to a question, which is this. Most people believe that our strengths are in our common purposes and our goals and our coordinated action. Okay, everybody working together, in other words. So how can our differences possibly be our strengths? In other words, how can we constructively use our differences and take advantage of our differences as we work together? I'm going to shut up and let you talk.
I'm going to jump in on that, George, because this group right here, you heard all of us introduce ourselves, and you can tell that we are not only from various locations. Yes, this is Jennifer Navaretta, e-podcaster. This is not only the difference between who we are, but also the commonalities. And the commonalities bring us together, but the differences actually help inform and educate us in new and enlightening ways. And I have a much broader and expansive awareness and understanding because of the differences that we have, which started with the things that are the similar, but the differences have actually helped elevate all of us.
How? You or anybody else who wants to jump in. How do the differences do that?
I'll jump in here. I think the differences are really striking among us. I mean, we're all on social media, but we all bring different strengths to it. So I'm a journalist. I'm a writer. I ask questions. I'm great at interviewing. When I listen to Indra, on her spaces, I'm hearing things about mindfulness, and so we're all exploring and further discovering our strengths as we go.
This revolution, I also just want to say, we are on Wisdom and all these other platforms. These differences are literal too, and we're on different places. We have access. It makes us incredibly strong.
This is Michael. Indra, go ahead, please.
Indra was first by a split second. Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks so much. It's Indra Bartona here. I wanted to just point out something that Rose just raised is I feel like our differences are also in our journeys spiritually and emotionally as well. And that's something that I focus on. And I love to develop and learn from others. And because of even our ages in this space, I mean, if we look at everybody here, there is a difference in ages. We're all evolving and learning at a different rate. And I think that is something really important for us to embrace and to have that advantage from all of us. And I think that's why we all come together so nicely in this space.
This is Daryl with the Dashes. If I can just add this also, with programming like artificial intelligence, or let's just take it back to like fixing something in the house. If you have a container full of, 4 different nails and 4 different bolts and 4 different screws, you're very limited to what you can actually repair or to construct. However, if you have literal ultimate diversity of nails, screws, and bolts, you can fix almost anything. And so where diversity is very, very important. And the same as going back to AI, the more information you have to put into the model, the better the model can be. So these are all reasons to have more diversity and both ends of the perspective so that we can actually have more tools to utilize to come up with the best possible answer.
If I can
tag
on
what
to
Daryl
that.
just said, this is Michael. And
I think it was Mike.
I think of food.
Ahead,
yeah, I think of food in a similar way. Like if you really love hamburgers and you're always eating hamburgers and you've eaten every hamburger that's out there and you have your favorites and you try different hamburgers, that's great. But sometimes if you try other foods, other styles of foods, you're going to find that they have different flavors and they might have different nutrition and all sorts of wonderful things. But if you just don't include what's different, what's other than what you're used to, you're never going to experience that and find the benefit from it. Thanks. This is Michael.
Mm-hmm.
This is Samantha Postman here. And I'd like to say that I think a good way to think about differences and strengths is to see each other's gaps as opportunities to fill and not deficiencies in each other. So when we're working together, and a lot of us work together in a team, when I need somebody to talk to my audience about something that's Web3 related, I'm going to call on Jennifer because I know she can fill my gap. But she also could come to me and say, hey, I know your audience wants to know about Web3. I'd love to fill that gap for you. So then together we're much stronger. And that's true of everyone else in this community.
Samantha, I do want to fill this gap. This is Jennifer.
Hey,
Dr. M does a good job with Web3 too. So there's a number of us who can do that, but different. Like when Dr. M does it, he fills a different gap than the way that Jennifer does it. So we all have space.
And this is George. I like to apply for the role of skeptic in that whole thing. So we need skeptics too. Dr. M,
Sure.
go ahead.
Love it.
Hey, I really loved what Daryl said because you know, when the topic is differences, I think of that as diversity. And I was thinking when we talk about a topic, diversity means that we come from different perspectives, and a discussion with people involved of varied perspectives results in a deeper understanding on the topic. And when we think about trying to come together as diverse people to solve a problem, it also results in the consideration of further solutions than if our perspectives were narrower, and so ultimately a better solution in any way that you work at.
So complementing, supplementing, and potentiating.
Yeah, this
Yes.
is Barry, and I also liked what Daryl said to echo Dr. M's points regarding AI, especially because that is my field. But I look at this very much so as a hive mind. You know, we all have different traits and characteristics and attributes that, you know, Samantha said that sometimes we need to fill in the gaps. But, you know, one thing I noticed is that, you know, as a researcher, one of the things that makes a great researcher in the tech space is the ability to collaborate with others and network with other people, because it's very much almost impossible to know everything about everything. And when you have people around you that you can learn from, or, you know, fill in the gaps, or become an extension of yourself in a sense, that kind of makes you better, and you can always lean on that. So I have leaned on many people in this community so far, like Mariah, Dr. M, and Rev, you know, for their tech insight. And that has made me a better person as far as, you know, how to form questions and relate different tech concepts to people in the general public. So I'm forever grateful for that.
This is Revolution, George. I'm just jumping in to let everybody know, if you are listening to this, please share this out. We're on multiple platforms. Keep this dialogue going, but share it out and grow this thing. I'm having a blast.
Thank you so much. And let me build on that. If anybody who just joined us, you may not be used to such a fast-paced conversation. These are all very experienced audio, you know, audio discussion facilitators. I use the word facilitators quite purposely to distinguish from hosts and moderators. The people on here really are quite, you know, adept. And so they're really facilitators. So we are, I think the politically correct, actually the phrase politically correct is politically incorrect now. But the politically incorrect phrase used to be all chiefs and no Indians. So I don't know what the current phrase is. I apologize for the wrong phrase, but you get the point. We're all chiefs and no Indians, and that works fine. It is working fine. What I'd love to do now is, unless anybody has any other general points, I'd love to hear some suggestions specifically for how do you turn the differences that you perceive in other people, how do you turn that to advantage? How do you benefit from it rather than do something unconstructive like get angry or argue or whatever. I'll start out just by example. I think one great tip for when somebody says something absolutely outrageous that contradicts all your values or is patently, utterly ridiculous, is to remind yourself, this is an intelligent person. There's a reason that person believes that. I wonder why that person is saying that. So the tip that I have for you is replace anger with curiosity, because anger and fear, it's very hard for anger and fear to coexist with curiosity. So when you're tempted to go off, get curious rather than argue. I'd love to hear other tips, because as some of you know, I can certainly learn from this kind of thing myself.
Hey, this is Jason. Can I start? I'll start.
Please.
So I'm acutely aware of taking somebody's differences and looking at their side of the coin, because our account is a science communication account. And
and
like
science is all about that.
Yeah. Well, and also during the pandemic, we were very pro public health, and that caused a lot of anger with some of the people that followed us and people that didn't. And initially, you cannot ever find a middle ground if you meet anger and fear with the same kind of emotion. You may not change minds, but you can also kind of like dodge it a bit like water. And then also the other thing that's maybe not so serious is that I had no idea of the realm of marketing, because that's not what I do as my profession. I'm a teacher. And I would go into some rooms and people were talking about marketing. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so boring. I hate it. And I would leave. But then I got curious. I'm like, this could really help out what we do. And that's where I met half of the people that I listen to every single day as their genius marketers. And so instead of being, close-minded, I became curious, and really good friendships have resulted from that, and also growth for everything that we do with Bunsen and Beaker. Thanks.
Hey, Jason, I got to just remind me, I'll send you an article I wrote called The Nobility of Marketing. I love it.
Okay, sounds good.
Who else like to jump in? Go ahead.
I'd like to build on what you said. This is Indra Bartona here.
Yep.
Okay. It's Indra Bartona here. George, I love the idea of curiosity. And with curiosity, I just want to build on that by going a little bit further and saying,
please,
there are so many things in our life that are out of our control. Curiosity is something that is within our control. And as well as curiosity, acceptance is something that is an amazing process for all of us. Sometimes because there isn't an opportunity to control everything else, to control the external, other people's perspectives. Sometimes when we just move to a point of acceptance, then we also automatically open our minds, open our hearts. It's just a whole new perspective that we can take on. And that doesn't mean that we have to agree with 100%, but it's almost like an agree to disagree, or it's just there. And if I want it, I can take that option because I'm not fighting against it, or I'm not creating a barrier in my mind. So that's what I love about building on the curiosity foundation, is you can move to a point of acceptance, and there's no barrier. There's nothing that's holding us back. It's just pure free choice of information and virtually unity with that person as well.
Yeah, Indra, you made me realize, or you reminded me that you don't learn from the people you agree with, right?
That's
you
right.
learn from the people you disagree with. You
Absolutely.
And I'll post. I intended to post it. I'll post in the.
I don't think it's as simple as that. Agree or disagree. I think it's there's this feature. This thing that we're built with, which is curiosity, makes us curious and makes us want to learn from other people. And it's a matter of like acceptance. So I can accept that I know less about AI than Dr. M. But I can listen in on his space with Dr. Berry and learn a lot. And I, and it's sort of an acceptance of who you are. Okay, well, this is who I am now, but we're always growing. And by listening and opening our ears to other people, we can grow. We can continue growing.
Mm-hmm. And
Here's Samantha
Rev,
Postman here.
I think Rev was trying to get in. Rev, were you
Oh yeah, actually, I was. But however, this is revolution. But what I did, we can go past that. What I did want to say quickly is I just said it in the chat. This is to the team, everybody. We can't all grab the mic, obviously, at once, but we can all be active in the chat. Get that chat lively. Back to you, George.
Okay. I think Samantha was trying to get in, or I'm not sure.
Yeah, Samantha Postman here. I think that when we talk about strengths and differences, we often think of like black or white, or there's like this line where it's either a strength or it's a weakness, or we agree or we disagree. And in fact, what I found is that we are all on continuums. It's like even when people do those Myers-Briggs, you're not all the way 100% on one side. You're usually on a continuum, but then depending on once you cross a line, you're considered in one particular category. But in fact, you could be really close to middle ground and really close to the what we would call the another category. So when we look at strengths and weaknesses, I think it's important to think of each of us are on a continuum. It's not a side. It's a continuum. And that when we speak to each other, what we can do is think, I'm willing to move on that continuum one way or another, depending on more information that I accumulate from other people who think differently and have different perspectives than I do. So the goal of a discussion is for one of us for us to move on that continuum in growth. And that's the most important in any conversation. Instead of thinking of strengths and differences, it's what can we add to each other, and what can I let go of myself that's not true anymore, or that I realize the new information has made untrue. And that's something that Leonardo da Vinci did. He quite often would just let go of information once the new information replaced it, and it was true. Like we do this in medical, right? What we used to believe 5 years ago is all of a sudden they're like, well, that's actually not even true science. It's just what they believed at the time with the information they had. So it's a continuum of growth.
Samantha, this is George. You mentioned the magic word perspective, and I know you have a talk on how photography teaches us different perspectives. I posted in the Nest, and by the way, any speaker should absolutely feel free to post anything they want in the Nest without permission in these sessions, because we all know each other. We vetted each other. We're not going to do nonsense. So I just put up in the Nest, she mentioned Leonardo da Vinci. He believed very strongly that you cannot know something unless you look at it from several different perspectives. And in the beginning of his anatomy books, his anatomy drawings, he said, he said the equivalent of, and I can't say it in Italian, so I'll give you the English paraphrasing. He said that you don't know something unless you can see it from 3 or more different views. So in all the drawings that I present here, and he wasn't just talking about his drawings, he was talking about life. In all the drawings that I present here, I will show you at least 3 views, top, bottom, and side, but more if needed. And so I read that when I was a teenager, and I said, Jesus, I'm going to take that to heart. I don't understand something unless I have at least 3 different viewpoints. Then I can say, okay, George, you're beginning to understand it.
Yeah, like in photography, I say that, Samantha here, in photography, when I've done a keynote speech on it, and I talk about the different lenses. We'll use a macro lens to see super close, and then we'll use one that's more realistic, and then we can use a zoom lens, or we can use a wide angle lens to get the full picture. And that's 3 different perspectives just by changing the lens on your camera. So when we think of ourselves as a camera body, which lenses am I putting on to see different perspectives? I mean, that's just one, that's not looking at from 3-dimensional or 10-dimensional.
Relates to what Indra was saying about that you have control over your curiosity. So if you think of your curiosity as a camera, as Samantha was expressing it, or as a flashlight that zooms narrow versus wide, floodlight to pinpoint, you have control over that curiosity. And if you seek out the differences, the anomalies, the strange things, the holy shits, that kind of stuff, that's where you learn. You don't learn from what you agree with.
Seek out the holy shits, folks. Remember that. No, this is Michael. This makes me think of you've seen those photos or the videos online where like the camera starts at a thing and you see a picture of the Mona Lisa, but then the camera starts to move to the left and there's all these things in a three-dimensional sculpture that only when you stand in one position and see it from one angle does it look like the Mona Lisa. But there's a whole lot of dimensions that makes up that photo. And that's kind of like how people are and how opinions and ideas are too.
Yeah, that was a great example. I said this to an art expert once. I don't get the smile in the Mona Lisa. I look at that smile and it's not there. And he said to me, look at her hair. Look just to the right or the left of her mouth. You guys do this. Try this. Go get a picture of the Mona Lisa. Look to the right or left, probably her hair or the background next to it. You will see the smile. You won't see the smile staring at the lips. You will see. But so my curiosity about it got me something I learned from it. Anyway, that's interesting example.
Jump in,
This is Revolution again. Just
I think that every single person
just jumping in real quick.
Well, I think Rev was first by a split second. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Rev.
sorry. I'm just taking care of house business here. Sorry,
Oh.
Brooks. Just enjoy the sausage making. Pay attention, team, to the back channel. That's our back channel DM. Communicate in there. I'm out.
Okay, thanks. Samantha?
Well, I'll just add this and then let the conversation go, is just like, think of every single person as a different camera body, and then each of them have different makes and models. So if I'm a Nikon, someone else could potentially be like a Canon. Well, when we stand next to each other, we can be taking a picture of the exact same subject matter, but the camera processes them differently and will render the picture slightly different, maybe sharper, maybe softer, maybe more contrast, maybe more color. And so each of us is like a different camera body and a different make and model. And so that's just one way to help when we're speaking with people going, oh, okay, they're a different camera body and they're using a different lens. I need to look at that with fascination and curiosity.
And you can learn something from the differences. So you learn something from a macro lens. You literally see things you didn't see before. And a telephoto lens, you also see things that you didn't see before. So
I'd imagine I'd imagine Rose has definitely a perspective on taking different viewpoints as a journalist.
Whoops, I'm sorry. I hit the mute button by mistake. Yeah, Rose, you're
okay.
Go ahead.
Here, hi, it's Rose. Yes, always. I think that anytime, basic rule, you're doing a story, you always get two opinions, or you get three, and that's not to say it's a ping pong match, and but it's you have to learn from people who have different opinions, and you do bring perspective. It's not objective, it's not completely objective. You're listening, you're gathering, you're analyzing, and then coming up with what you think the story should be about.
Mm-hmm.
I love it because go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, this is Daryl with the dashes. I was just going to say that, data points, all of these things are not necessarily truth, capital T truth, and so you have to be willing to understand that, yes, 3 points of view isn't always going to get you to the truth. Even they can be skewed as well. And so when we commingle emotion at all or a grip to our emotion with the fact or the information of the data, that's where we go awry, because it's really a letting go. It's really getting active into the passive and trusting the process that I am just passive, but I'm very active into the passive. And I'm very actively allowing the letting go to journey me to the truth, the capital T truth that is forever going to be true. And so I don't think we do that enough in our critical thinking. And I think that we commingle our emotions too much to outcomes and the data points to kind of fulfill the outcome that we desire versus the truth that is actually going to elevate us.
Could you elaborate on what you mean by the passive to the active?
What I mean by that is strength is sometimes letting go. And so sometimes it is where we let go of our emotional attachment. It is where we let go of our control over a situation, where things start to reveal themselves, people's true intentions, people's their ideas, right? And so when you let go and you get very active in the idea that, yes, I'm letting go with an intention to see what data starts to emerge so that I can really take a solid action once I actually get clear of what's in that situation. And so sometimes that strength in letting go is a process that really masters start to teach about, is where is it that we can use that high activeness to the passive letting go and watch what reveals itself through that process.
Well, thank you. Interesting. Just to apply it to the way some of us might work is that when you might understand something through data and through a lot of knowledge, I always stop myself and say, okay, well, how would I explain this to my neighbor next door?
That's the crux of science, Jason.
Right.
Yeah. So you have to, even in your head, if you have it all figured out, well, you don't know if you really have it figured out until you try to explain it so that everyone can understand that. So you're both in your strength, but you're communicating your strength.
Rose, it's Mariah here. And I think it's so important to go back to Samantha's point in filling the gaps, and that being the focus as we build or collaborate or what you have it. Because if we don't, then you're not building on a solid foundation, or you could be duplicating deficiencies. You get what I'm saying? So you have to make sure that the end goal is to fill the holes and to recognize that there are gaps and move forward there.
Ooh, I like that. This
That's
is Jason.
What do you like about it, Jason?
It's been my experience in starting spaces. I tried to do everything myself. And when you try to do everything yourself, you can't. There's nobody that can do everything themselves. And by listening to people that know more than me about marketing, for example, about technology, you grow. You have to be humble. And I love that, like filling each other's gaps, Samantha, and then Mariah's comment on that. I love that a lot. One thing I was just going to quickly mention was it may also be your life experience. So for the AI experts in our group, my only experience with AI for the longest time was the Terminator movies. And I was terrified of AI. I was like, no, I don't want AI. I don't want to get Skynet to come and murder my whole family and blow up the world. But it's not that. It's not that. So
my reference
this
point.
Revolution 2.
Go ahead.
All right. I'm just going to just quickly say too, because I just wanted to build on what Jason said there too around. We built a successful nonprofit over the past 10 years, an amazing organization, and I did it with another person, and then we quickly developed a team. This is really hard work to do when you're trying to do this social audio stuff by yourself, and without this team that we have built around us, it would be impossible. I couldn't do it. I need partners in this, and I feel like I have so many partners, and a lot of them are here in this space.
I want to come back to that team idea, but Mariah, you were trying to get in.
Yeah, it was a joke. I was going to tell everyone that my reference point for AI is Star Trek. And I had to come from, right? I've been waiting on these things to happen for a while now. And I'm excited about what we can do with artificial intelligence, because as long as we stay ethical, right? And we stay cognizant of what we're building and why we're building it, I don't see anything wrong with the future. I see it as beautiful and promising, truly.
This is George. I want to say a couple of things about team building, but before I do that, there's a couple of housekeeping details for those of you who have just joined us. This is a discussion of highly experienced spaces facilitators and other social audio. I say spaces, but I meant social audio, and we have a pre-selected list of people that we have put up on the speaker, so that we're not taking requests at the moment. I apologize to the people who are requesting, but this is not, as Jason mentioned at the beginning, you may have missed it, this is not a closed group. So please, DM Jason or me or anybody else, and we'll get you on the list, and we'll get you in a future discussion. But this is going so well, I'm just reluctant to bring people up at the moment. Let's continue on. About team building that Rev mentioned. I've done a fair amount of team building in my consulting career, and a lot of really the smarter of the businesses realize you have to have diversity on a team. If you don't, you have a committee, and a committee is designed to dissipate responsibility. But a team is there to do something, to reach a goal. And so there are they deliberately try to get diversity of particularly cognitive styles on teams. So for instance, you need to have a gadfly on the team. That annoying person who sits there and tells you what's wrong with every idea. But the team but everybody has to recognize that's the person's role. And when you're brainstorming, that person has to shut up or go into a different mode than gadfly. Because if you're pointing out what's wrong with every idea in the middle of brainstorming, you shut it down. In fact, it's prohibited in the process of brainstorming. So you need to understand what everybody's role and everybody's style is, and what their strengths and their weaknesses are, and deliberately try to seek out people who are different with you, not only different opinions, again, different styles, different ways of coming at things, different skill sets in problem solving. All of that stuff, if you deliberately build in those differences or that diversity, you will strengthen the team incredibly, because a team of individualists who are really thinking for themselves in their own style, that's a strong team. A weak team is one where everybody's deferring to each other and being nicey nice and stroking each other and getting nothing done.
Well, I think Dr. Barry was going to jump in, so I'm going to be the gadfly and say, let's go to her.
Cool. I was earlier point, but I think George pivoted the conversation to something essential as well, which is team building. I think is absolutely necessary to, especially as a leader, if you are a leadership of any organization or group, it's absolutely necessary for you to look for individuals with differences of thought, backgrounds, viewpoints. It's something that I've encountered to this very day that's absolutely necessary for success. And one example I can give is working with a group of team members building for one common goal, which was to build this quadruped robotic system. Usually when we think of robotics, you probably just think of computer scientists, people who program, a few people who do hardware, but we had data scientists on a team. We had people from mechanical engineering, biomedical engineering, all focused on this one particular system. And we needed that because every engineer has their own thought process into how to build from their respective discipline. And with that, we were able to, like Samantha said, fill in the gaps of, what are we missing? As a computer scientist, as a programmer myself, there's only so much or a limited amount of insight that I can bring to that robot. And
Did you have at least one polymath on the team? This is George.
I think we were polymaths. I think most of us were polymaths.
Most of you were. Okay.
I didn't know
That's good. Team of nothing better than a team of polymaths.
Yeah, we were polymaths, but just at the time. But I think it goes along with the path line for us, or the pipeline for us to create something great from a team of people that come from very different backgrounds and foundations. And it just goes to show that you can mesh together with all those different characteristics to build something phenomenal in the end. And I think with this space that we're doing right now, just having a conversation, we're doing exactly that. I'd like to just jump.
This is Michael, but other people can go ahead. That's fine.
Go ahead, Michael.
Well, I was going to say, just to piggyback on that, it makes me think of the whole Apollo 13 scenario where they had to literally, correct me if I'm wrong, people who know this better than me, but like they literally had to figure out how to connect a round hose to a square port with the things that were on Apollo at the time. And like, they had to have some engineer at NASA who came up with the idea. And if you have a bunch of people in the room who are all thinking the same way, you're probably not going to get the person who's going to figure out how to connect the round hose to the square thing. And so you want that diversity for problem solving. Solving problems is so much more. It's so much better when you have more people in the room because somebody's going to have the idea that's going to solve that problem.
Exactly.
This is revolution. Michael, imagine
Yes,
that that at NASA it wasn't just that the round hole square peg. It's a multi-minute delay in the thinking and getting the information out there, and it just really reinforces.
We lost the it reinforces
good
what?
Communication.
Uh-huh. It reinforces the need for good communication.
We're losing Rev's wisdom.
Yeah, I think he said it reinforces the need for good communication.
Yep,
So
those Mars rovers land before we know they've landed because it's a 6-minute delay.
Yep. So you want somebody on a team that maybe they're experts, but they're not experts in that area, so they can ask the stupid questions. And it's the stupid questions.
Amen.
It's the stupid questions that get the best answers. The quote in big quotes, gigantic quotes around the word stupid, of course.
So Samantha here, I was just going to add one element to this that we haven't really talked about is within people who have a certain strength, it's important to have people who have a range in that strength. So that's where mentorship happens. Because sometimes what I've seen with teams is we're busy with trying to get such diversity that we forget that sometimes we need a strength with people who are really, really, really strong in the area, and then people who are just coming into their own in the area. So what's powerful about that is that obviously the person with experience has got a lot to value, but the new person, one, is going to ask sometimes the dumb questions and get the experienced person to think back to the basics again.
Beautiful.
But then also usually it's a younger one and an older one, generally speaking, not always, but the younger one has other skills to bring to the game, like understanding tech, understanding social media, understanding how the culture is. And so within the department of strengths, if you will, if we're looking for people who are really strong in science, for example, or in medicine, I'll use medicine, then we want a range of people who are strong in medicine as well. So I think I just want to add, it's important for diversity, but also for a range in the areas of what problems we're trying to solve.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, in problem solving is directly an advantage, right? So, like Dr. Berry here was saying, in that project, so as varied of a fields that you have contributing to trying to come up with solutions, really, to any problem, it's directly a strength. So the team with the most diversity of talents and backgrounds, or you could say the team with the most polymath, is most likely to come up with the best solutions.
Exactly. Absolutely.
And it's Mariah.
That's been shown over and over again. Go ahead, Mariah.
I just want to circle back to Dr. Jasmine's point and really what I feel, what she was going to dig into about AI and how important it is for us to have as many builders, engineers, thought leaders from all backgrounds across the board as we're building into these machineries. And I really, really would appreciate if she would elaborate, because I know that's what she wanted to speak about.
Thank you, Mariah, for that point. I was really, what actually came to my mind was thinking about generalists versus specialists during this conversation, which I forgot the name of the guy who created a theme out of this and started publishing books around this topic. But it goes to show, how do you weigh the advantages of generalizing about various topics versus only specializing in certain ones. And he kind of made the relationship between that and some of the greatest athletes that we have ever known. A lot of them didn't start out when they were 2 years old or 4 years old only playing that particular sport. They diversified their talent by playing a variety of sports, maybe playing tennis, golf, and eventually they led into basketball, and those foundational skills that they learned earlier on helped them create an actionable set of skills that made them more competitive than everyone else in their field. And I think we're absolutely doing that here is, how are we changing our dynamics of how we interact with each other, what we're learning, what I learned from Dr. M, for example, and Mariah about the blockchain, and Rev about his perspective and insight about technology, and Samantha as well. Like, that has built me up in a way that I can extend my knowledge in a variety of different directions, so that when I'm doing my research, I have that opportunity to think about different perspectives about what I'm doing on the ethical side, and technically with the algorithms that I'm building there. So, to Mariah's point, I think we need to learn that team building is effective, learn how to mesh together our insights and our talents in a way that is unprecedented. And I'm looking forward to doing that in the best way possible.
Hello, this is Indra here. I wanted to jump in on something that was mentioned earlier, and I think that Samantha was talking about teams. And it was something that I really found interesting, is that the more I step back, even with working with my movie team, the current movie that we're in development with, and I know we're shifting topics here, we're talking about AI, but I actually think that AI and science is very creative as well. It's so creative, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But the more that I actually step back and let the team lead, even in the movie development phase, the more that I see them just enjoying the process, more and more ideas come forward. And actually, I have to say that I'm actually surprised at how much I learn as well along the way from taking a step back and allowing the team. And it's a mix of, some people are very, very specialized in their fields, and we actually need that balance. And then I'm more sort of over the top, all different types. I can understand the accounting piece, I can understand the creative piece with the writers, but it's just so amazing to watch them flourish and to step back and to be in a state of acceptance. And then what Daryl mentioned earlier was about letting go. So when you're in that state of acceptance, then you can kind of step back and let go. And that's when I've really seen the team flourish.
Even when you initially disagree with them.
Yes.
Right? Even when you initially say, yeah, I wouldn't do it that way. But if you step back a little bit and let them do it their way, wow.
This is Jason. That is a dangerous thing to tell high school kids on an open-ended science project. I wouldn't do it that way. Because you're going to be proved wrong, and you're going to look real dumb in front of a whole bunch of kids. So
that is funny. Yeah, framework and mission, right, is so important. Like, as a CEO of a company or a founder. This is Daryl with the dashes, the bald guy up here with the headphones. So yeah, I mean, framework and mission, right, is very, very important. But that doesn't necessarily need to be tied to emotion, right? When we tie and commingle emotion to our decision making or an analysis of the data points and all of that, that's where we literally slap ourselves upside the head and put us into dangerous territory. It's really that openness. It's really that ability to just say, I let go of who I thought everything was, and I'm just going to be like George, you said, very curious, and I'm very, very open. So yeah, that's what I was trying to refer to.
Yeah, building on what Daryl said, this is George. It's all, especially when emotions are involved. It comes down, when we have differences. I like to go to where does my curiosity lead me? To the evidence. You look at what's the evidence, and we all know evidence can be highly misleading. I know this as a magician also. There are a lot of things that are very misleading. So you have to look at the evidence very carefully, and it changes. Reality changes. The belief that you had yesterday might not be true today, not because the belief was wrong yesterday. It may have been right yesterday, but it is wrong today because reality has changed. So a lot of it is a matter of when we have differences, gun control, abortion, all these big issues that everybody's killing themselves over and practically getting into fistfights over. you go, what's the evidence? What are we trying to, what's the problem we're trying to solve here? Well, wonderful. We have differences. We believe in diametrically opposed things. Fine. Terrific. That enriches us. Let's look at the evidence and see what we can make of it and see what kinds of solutions we can come up with. Not whether we're right or
George,
wrong.
this is Michael. Yeah, and that's all well and good, but we've seen recently in politics that people can be shown all kinds of mountains of evidence that something is a certain way, and they they know that, but it feels wrong. It feels like something isn't right, that the wool's being pulled over their eyes. And so that's one of the things I've been thinking about a lot recently in the last couple of years is like, how do we merge and find balance between what we know about the evidence and what we feel about the situation? Because a lot of times those don't line up. Thanks a lot. This is Michael.
Yeah.
Michael.
Hey, this is Dr. M. I was just going to take this back to what George originally said. He said that when you encounter something that you don't personally agree with, the way to approach it is curiosity. So I think it's that approach that kind of determines your reaction, whether it's going to be getting defensive and getting on the attack and thinking of that way versus trying to learn more. Because in terms of disagreements, I mean, there is two situations when you encounter one, right? One is that the person is intentionally trying to deceive you. That's not the case most of the time. And then the other case is that they are telling you what they believe. And so the right approach is to find out why it is that that they feel and they think what it is that they do. Because so long as they're not intentionally trying to deceive you, you yourself would say, feel, and think the same things had you walked in their path and come to where they are. So I think it's that approach, basically approaching something that you don't agree with from a perspective of curiosity rather than getting defensive.
Hey, George, this is Revolution. I'm grabbing the reins real quick, everybody. Just hang on 1 second. We're coming up at the top of the hour. I know Jason might have a couple of things to put in there real quick. I also just want to make sure that we are acknowledging the folks on Clubhouse, on Wisdom, on LinkedIn, that we're saying hi to you. We love you. And, there are ways to make comments in there and pay attention. But we're coming up at the top of the hour, boss, there, George. And we've got, please also, everybody, team, pay attention to the back channel. People are saying things in there that are pertinent.
Right. I wanted to pick up on what Revolution said in the back channel, which was he suggested bring some people up for feedback on their experiences as listeners. I think this is probably the time to do that if you people don't mind. I would like to add some speakers and go ahead, Rose. Sorry.
What about a few questions from people listening? Then just their comments on what we're talking about.
Yeah, actually, Dr. J has a really good observation and in the chat on Twitter. And she says, I'm seeing the differences of interdisciplinary perspectives expanded in real time for deeper learning. And then she says, kudos to the group with a heart. But I really like that. That's exactly what this is. And Dr. J, I felt like you really expressed it very well.
I wanted to, I saw Mariah wanted to say something, and then I'll just maybe I'll make a decision what the next step is. So I know, Mariah, you were trying to get in there.
Yeah, I just wanted to circle back, it's Mariah here, circle back to George, Michael, Dr. M, and Rev's point, and really get to the heart of it all, and it being that we not take things personally. If we're going to actually assess anything at all to move forward objectively, you can't. And if that's where we start, then there's nothing left but to grow.
Exactly.
Yes.
If it's personal, there's no growth. It's just, go ahead, Rose. Sorry.
Great point. I was listening to a space yesterday with through ClickUp, which is a software platform, and there were a few women in tech who were talking about what to do ahead. And one of them said that the more, fuel yourself with data, have the data, and that way, have the analysts, have all the data, have all that at the ready. And then for yourself, if it's rejected, you've done your work. So I think that's a really good point as we talk about curiosity and this idea of not taking it personally. And in a way, if you look at the political situation, it's really hard to understand. We have all this evidence about gun control, and yet we haven't had gun control. And Chris Murphy of Connecticut, Senator Chris Murphy, said after, how did it feel after waiting 10 years after the Newtown shootings to finally get some legislation? And he said, I was ready to start at the very beginning. I was ready to take whatever I could to try to build that agreement on gun control.
Mm.
Okay, Rose, thank you. That was a great point. I'm just going to go through a couple of the comments and echo what Rev said. This little chat wasn't meant to go on for hours and hours. And because there's so many of us, you only got a little taste of what everybody here has to offer. And remember, we all of us on the stage who are speakers today, we all run rooms and spaces that you can check out. You can all follow us to find out more. A shout out to the people who are listening on Clubhouse, and a special thank you for Michael for being the moderator there. Indra, thank you so much for opening a room, whatever it's called, on LinkedIn. We've got a whole bunch of people listening on LinkedIn, and nearly 100 people have tuned in on Wisdom. So Rev, thank you for being the link to Wisdom there.
Wow.
We have 50 comments, and a lot of them are, they're not necessarily questions, but I do want to honor the people who have been listening and interacting in the comments. Dan said that this is like cross-training for the brain. I love the point about athletes. There have been a lot of comments talking about how exciting this is, and that makes me feel good. And it should make all of the speakers feel good, because when we all come together, we hear different perspectives, and that's super important. There were some hilarious comments about different AI, Ultron from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, The Fifth Element. Pixie quoted you, George, seek out the holy shits.
I love it.
We
Pixie.
already,
and I retweeted her, by the way.
Yeah, that was good.
Cool.
Good stuff.
Jen has to go, but Jen talked about Dr. J's great comment. So thank you, Jen, for doing that. And it goes on and on. We have some other comments down there, but I just want to thank everybody for putting a comment in. Now, I think, as I said, the space was only going to be about an hour, and then we would open up a very small window for questions from the audience, or you can put a question into the chat. So, team, are we all okay with that? I think that was the general idea. And
yes, and the idea is not to fully exhaust this subject by any means. It's the beginnings. It's the beginnings of a discussion. Boy, I'm personally if I can go first, I'm personally utterly thrilled with what happened. I think we can put to bed the debate over whether the interactive mode can be made to work. I think that's a done deal. I mean, that's been demonstrated. Doesn't mean, by the way, that the interactive mode right, doesn't mean.
I just raised my hand to be a pain.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't mean that I'm advocating it for everything. Again, and I deliberately didn't tell people to do open mics because people are erroneously calling it the open mic mode. So I deliberately wanted to show that it's doable without all open mics. Although I do prefer personally open mics. I thank Indra for keeping her mic open, and Dr. M did also. I noticed, and so did Jason, and that allows for people to go, yeah, right on, stuff like that. But I think
George.
I was thrilled at how wonderfully this worked, and I thank you all for your cooperation. Rev?
Hey, this is Revolution real quick. I can't keep my mic open because I'm on Wisdom, but I wanted to say to everybody, for sure, due to some improvements with this space here, we are actually able to kind of talk over each other, and it sounds good. So understand that you do not have to do the delay, folks, as you're moving between folks. That natural rhythm can be there much better than it used to be before.
Good point. Yes, exactly.
So, George, this is Dr. J. I wanted to hop in because
thank you.
Listening to this wonderful conversation with conversationalists, I kept expecting you to set the stage for a meta discussion, because when I looked at this, it reminded me of being on an interdisciplinary team where your thing is in the middle of the table and everybody comes at whatever the thing is from a different direction. And that's where the learning comes into play, because like Samantha said, it's, what do we bring to it? Michael pointed out the Apollo situation. As individuals, however we created our lives, whatever our experiences are, they come about in this direction. But you're creating a space that shows a framework, a template, a way that somebody could take this into their own home and practice living in a different way.
Thank you.
I just can't wait for the Brain Fitness Center to take this cross training for the brain to the membership level and monetize us. Because
I do use that phrase a lot. I say,
hey, back that money up into my vault. Back it into my vault. I'm ready. This is revolution.
Yeah. I do say my Mind Skills Playbook is cross training for the brain, but I've been using that phrase for a long time. But I think that was very Dr. J. And also you brought the Apollo thing brought to mind. There's one of the people on the Apollo team. I forgot which is the Apollo one that blew up, but the Challenger. I'm sorry, the Challenger team. There was a person on the team, and it was actually on one of the PowerPoint slides. It was buried in a bullet point way down at the bottom, who said, if you do this on a cold day, the O-rings will fail and the whole friggin' thing's going to blow up. And that's what happened. His diversity was not listened to.
Right. Can I just point out?
Sobering thought. Dr.
Can I point out here what an important paradigm this is to change, right? Because when we look at all conflict in the world, it is all because of differences, really. So we are saying that actually those ways in which we differ, that we have made overall worldwide the cause of conflict, that those are actually our strengths. So, and I really believe that too. Take any conflict, I've said this many times, get a group of Ukrainians and Russians together in a room and get them to really talk sincerely with one another. They may surely have disagreements over many things, but they won't want to kill each other. And really, that's the case.
The Palestinians and the
absolutely
Israelis have been doing that. Yeah.
Yes.
Especially the younger groups have deliberately have that. And
so you're saying that.
Go ahead, Dr. I'm sorry.
I was just going to cap it up by saying that we are saying that those things that are taken to become the reason to be conflicted or to go against one another are actually what makes us stronger. So
exactly.
I was going to say, I agree. That if you could get Ukrainians and Russians in a room, or Israelis and Arabs in a room, and there are attempts, but in covering in my live streams and interviewing guests from Ukraine and seeing comments, there are a lot of Ukrainian families where they speak, most of them, they all speak Russian because that was what everybody was taught. But there are families that have, a cousin in Russia, and the cousin in Russia doesn't agree, believes what Putin is saying. So there, ideally we have this template and this framework here, but in reality, I don't necessarily.
Doesn't always work. Yep.
No, I don't think.
We have to acknowledge that.
Yeah. This is revolution, though. Look, quickly, Dr. M. Quickly, though, this thing right here, where we're doing it, it has a profound effect in ways that other things don't. Bring the Russians and the Ukrainians, and I'm not being silly, to these social audio spaces. Get them here, because social audio literally gives you a hug. It is not just a way to communicate. You get a transformative feeling within your being in these spaces that can facilitate deeper, meaningful conversations.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and Peaceful Warrior, did you have a question?
I brought up Peaceful Warrior. This is Jason. Speaking of diversity, let's hear a couple questions, comments from the crowd, and then we'll go to B.
Thank you. Thank you all. I have been absolutely waiting for the day that this would happen, because I've been in.
What's this?
I'm sorry?
You said this would happen. What's this you're talking about?
This conversation going on right now, I have been waiting. And I just want to say, I've been in spaces with all of you folks, the ones that are up here now as speakers and below. And this is just absolutely astounding to me. And rest assured, I will be in your spaces. I will be the one asking the stupid questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that acknowledgement. It really means a lot.
I appreciate you.
Thank you. Very much appreciated. Yes,
there's never stupid questions. There's only stupid responses. And
well,
wait. Let me finish. Hang on. It's how we respond to quote unquote the stupid is really what makes it really a problem. It's not that we come back with something stupid. It's about how we respond to quote unquote the stupid that makes us either rich as geniuses or literally walking in more darkness than we probably started with.
Yeah. Hey, Darryl, I used to make my living asking stupid questions as a focus group moderator. I used to brag that I made millions of dollars by just asking stupid questions to thousands of groups.
Asking stupid questions when you're teaching is a good teaching technique too.
Right. I was willing to ask stupider questions than most people were willing to ask.
I have to say this doesn't apply to trolls, just to
Jasmine, go ahead.
Just to add that qualification there.
What was that, Jasmine?
I was joking that this doesn't apply to trolls.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and may I go ahead.
Okay, great. George, I wanted to riff on your. Hey, how are you doing? To riff on your shuttle. I think it was the Columbia. Is that correct?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. In 1992, I took an intro to statistics class, or an intro to statistics, and they talked about that O-ring, and from a statistical standpoint, what they learned and redundancies things, but I didn't know about that. What the one fact or comment you made about what was actually discussed, and it was forecasted. And that
I've actually got the PowerPoint slide.
That is fascinating. But you're having a conversation today about diversity of thought, different voices. And, sometimes when we include people that come from, underrepresented segments of society, and we include them at the table, we get a rich conversation. We get different ways of looking at problems. And from, being a Latino myself, we just want to get at the table because we know how we have something to contribute. From the corporate America side, there's nothing better than being able to innovate even better than what you're doing, because a lot of times when you have a lot of these are things you've been talking about today, people in the same room that nod the same way, it becomes like an echo chamber. And that's why sometimes even being where are you a cultural fit, that can sometimes get dangerous too, because then you develop that echo chamber. So it's a balancing act. It's not it's easy yet hard at the same time. So I love this conversation, by the way.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, Jason, did you want to wrap it up soon, or
what? We got one more. I brought one more person up who has a question or comment, and then we will wrap it up. Yeah.
Okay, let's keep it very, very brief.
Yeah, I can.
Comment.
You got the iridescent person as your profile picture?
You can?
Yeah, come again. Your question is what?
Pardon, sorry?
Come again, your question.
No, you just requested to speak. Do you have a question or comment?
Oh, there. Yeah, but it seems I kind of forget it right now, so maybe.
Oh, that's okay.
Thanks. Okay.
I forget that. I forget questions all the time.
No problem.
So, Jason,
Georgia,
may I say a couple of sentences before we wrap up, just very quick?
Sure.
Yeah, I was gonna throw it to everybody to have a last thoughts kind of thing.
Sure.
Is that cool, Dr. M, or did you have something?
Yeah, sure. It is a last thought, actually.
Okay.
I was just going to say, I was thinking about what Rose said earlier, which is, the difficulty of when you get, let's say, a Palestinian or an Israeli to sit and discuss with one another. I wanted to say that, so I've spent significant time living in, for example, United Arab Emirates, Iran, and Turkey, which is that side of the spectrum of culture. And then significant time living in Australia, Austria, and the US, in the West, right? Wow. So when you do that, you really realize how the human race is really one race. And because you get to live with those people, it's different from visiting those places, right? So when you live in polar opposites of culture, you realize how much we're all just people. And so the difficulty sometimes is that it may not be enough in the context of a forum that is 45 minutes or an hour or a 2-hour interview or a political arena discussion to bring that understanding about, but that it is certainly true and that there is a way. So when I say get people from Ukraine and Russia in a room to talk to each other, what I'm saying is that if they sit and really exhaustively just talk and say if they are mad at each other for the first 24 hours, then just work through the 24 hours, because the 25th hour might be the recognition that, hey, we're all just people. There is no reason to be killing each other over anything.
Yep. Celebrate the differences.
Because the alternative, Dr. M, this is Jason, the alternative of words is violence.
Fists, right. Or bullets.
Yes. This has been, I think we'll, again, like this was not supposed to be a marathon space. So we're going to wrap stuff up. I think this was a huge success. I think everybody who is a speaker and listener can definitely attest to that. So these will continue. And so I'd like to throw, and this will be the lightning round. There'll be a lightning round end. If you are one of our speakers today and you have some closing comments, we'll throw it to you. You got 30 seconds, and then we'll close out the show today.
Hey, this is Samantha Bozeman here, and I'd like to just say that what we talked about here was about identifying gaps. And an action item would be for you to invite yourself to a table or a team when you see a gap that you can fill very well, and be confident in that. If they say no, then look for another place that's a closed door. That means another door is open. So be bold, own your strengths, and be strong about knowing that your strengths is somebody else's gap and they need you. So take action on that today, because you'll be on your deathbed wishing you didn't stay quiet. Do not wait to be invited. Invite yourself.
Mm-hmm.
This is Daryl with the Dashes. I just want to say thank you to all the panelists and thank you to Jason, Bunsen, and Beaker for putting this on. I just want to also say that, look, we all need to be entry points for conversation. We all need to be entry points for dialogue. And so find a way to seek openness and give people entry points to communicate to you so that you can communicate back to them. It's really about that openness and responsiveness that could change the world for us.
Wonderful. I want to close with a quick acknowledgement and example. A few, and I never acknowledged this to you, Rose. A few months ago, I was talking about the interactive mode. Rose had all kinds of objections to it, and I got curious about it, and I asked her about it, and she showed me the courtesy of pointing out that there are many issues with the interactive mode that have to do with women and other cultures and the difficulty of jumping into a conversation. So she educated me about this. I thought her remarks at first were not so hot, maybe even stupid, but the curiosity brought me.
Okay. George, you
I object.
go all the way.
The curiosity got, and I learned a tremendous amount and modified the interactive mode by those objections that she had, which I initially got very defensive about, but she finally got through to me, and so that's just an example of where I learned from the diversity and from my rejection of the diversity at first.
Well, that's great. Thank you, George. I
So you
did
did
when
get
you
through to me.
started today. I wrote notes. You said this is the interactive mode and how it's going to work, and I wrote notes. And I said because
Cool.
I had my mind open to this. I will
Cool.
say that the first 3 people who spoke were men, but this is stuff I observed. So I still do like this interactive. I still like when people have from the audience or one of the speakers puts their hand up, and then we know, okay, they have something to say.
Sure. Hybrid mode. Yep.
Yeah, and it allows the conversation not, to be among 3 or 4 people. So
Rose, this is a special, this is Revolution. Sorry, and I just stepped over you. This is a special kind of place. And I would love your suggestions live in the moment of how to, though, help this dialogue, which look like, I think, is an amazing success in so many ways, that we can make sure that the voices, because I did put it in the back channel, let's make sure that the people that aren't, talking, let's encourage them to talk. But what are some real ways, anybody here, and I know we got to get out of here. So
I think, if you schedule, I mean, I like a space when, if they are interviewing somebody or, there's 5 experts at the top, that, the second half of it is open to questions, and you can still move it along. If the questions aren't relevant, if they're, not furthering the conversation, okay, no, we're not going to go there. But I still think, it's more democratic process to try to, in every space, have people open, and I think the chat, I did look at, we have 57 comments, and that's a good way, as Jennifer and I in back channel were saying, oh, well, maybe we should use a comment, from somebody, and we, she called, Dr. J.
We should, this opens up a whole area of discussion. I think that we should have a space on the different modes of running spaces and the pros and cons and techniques and all that stuff. Let's just resolve to do that and cut the conversation on that right
next week on The Conversationalists. It's what you just said. That's our theme for next week, ladies and gentlemen. What George just said.
Okay, let's keep the wrap up moving. Who hasn't spoken yet? Go ahead.
Hello, this is Indra.
Indra, go.
Hello, everyone. This is Indra. I just want to say that I have found this journey very, very exciting. We are all spiritual beings here, looking around at everybody in this space together. And we all have different energy. And I think that is an incredible opportunity to celebrate all of us here and all of our contributions that have been brought today, and how we have all had this incredible experience of opening our minds, of accepting the different perspectives in this space. And we all have a voice. I feel that is so very important for all of us to digest. And going forward, this is such a successful first time here, and I thank everybody in this space, the speakers, the people that organised it, Jason, and all your work behind the scenes, and everybody else that was involved putting the work in to create this. We are on multiple platforms. Thank you to everybody on the other platforms, and especially I want to note the speakers, the listeners here, because you have been here and listening to us and supporting and then adding to the chats. So thank you so much. And what an incredible blessing for all of us to have this opportunity to be part of this, something much bigger than just us as individuals, but coming together, we truly are so incredibly strong. So I just want to end my piece by saying, I'm sending everybody off into your day, off into the weekend with love, light, and blessings from the Conversationalists.
It's great.
Wonderfully gracious. Thank you so much, Indra.
That was beautiful. I don't know if I could follow up there, but I'll just say very quickly, thank you to Jason and George for hosting such a space like this. I have personally been enriched from listening to everyone's dialogue and the conversation here. Thank you all so much. To my earlier point, I feel like since I'm a researcher, I need to cite my sources regarding the sports discussion that I mentioned. So the man that I was referring to who researches this area, his name is David Epstein, and he has a book called Range, Why Generalists Triumph in a Specialized World. And a quote here is that specialized...
Range, that's R-A-N-G-E?
Yes, correct.
Range. Thank you.
Range by
Sounds
David.
interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And here, just a quick quote, specialists get a head start, but generalists typically surpass them later on. So I think that's just a good example of how that works. And how that.
Samantha, take notes here. Let's get
Yeah, I
on
know
that.
that book. It's actually on my shelf.
Cool. Let's get
Yeah.
on it.
And it personally has inspired some of my robotics research as well. And just to wrap up, thank you all for this discussion. The speakers, you all were phenomenal. I didn't expect anything less. And, I don't think it was by accident that we found each other in Twitter Spaces. And if it was by accident, we've already made purpose out of it. So I think this is fun. Thank you all.
Beautiful.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I got to give a shout out to my partner in crime, Dr. M.
Hey, right back at you. Thank you.
The goodwill.
This is Michael. Hi. Thanks again, everybody, for a great conversation. And, I was going to say something else, but I want to say ultimately that, none of us can know everything. And there is a quote that my boss used to have in his office that's from the great philosopher Will Rogers that says, everybody is ignorant only on different subjects. And so, I would say go forward from this space and this conversation, understanding that you don't know everything and that the knowledge that and experience that other people have is a gift that you can tap into if you ask the right questions and you seek out, knowledge. So thanks again, everybody. This was really great. This is Michael.
Thank you. And the other quote I like is as the island of knowledge expands, so does the shore of ignorance.
Ooh, that's deep.
Ooh.
I like that.
Very nice.
I was looking for I didn't time it properly. I haven't.
Somebody by the name of Wheeler said that. I don't know who he is. But
have all of our speakers spoken? I don't want to cut anybody off.
Anybody else want to jump in here
before
we wrap it up?
Go, Mariah.
Yeah,
Mariah, go.
I just want to say thank you so much, Jason, George, Dr. M, Samantha Rose, Dr. Jasmine, Daryl, Indra, Rev, Noble's in here, Dr. J, Simon, Danny, MJ, Paula, Sharon, Priscilla, Liz, Josh. I mean, Vicky. I'm not kidding, everyone, because we wouldn't be able to do what we do without you. And I think it's just so important that we actually acknowledge these energies, these spirits, these entities, whatever you want to call it, because we got to keep moving forward, especially as we build on the blockchain, especially as we enter these new digital ages, and especially as we progress into a new collective thought, which is what I am witnessing and being a part of. So I'm just so grateful and I'm honored to be here, and I cannot wait to hear from everyone again.
Wow. Such graciousness. Wow. Terrific.
I
think we were safe and go ahead, Rose. Sorry.
Hi, George.
Rose.
I just want to say it was really fabulous to be here today. I learned so much, opened so many new ways to think, and really gratitude to Jason and Rev on doing which one you were doing, Clubhouse or
Rev's on Wisdom.
Okay, Daryl on Wisdom and Indra on LinkedIn for getting this all together. And I think it was a really great launch for
yes.
Very excited for what's to come.
Yes,
I agree.
I'm safe in saying that the art of conversation is not dead, and I have been proved wrong.
I would agree.
Yes.
Oh, toilet flush.
Oh, that's a good sound effect for
that was not me. Was that real? Was that real? Oh, I do not have that sound effect.
Wait till the space is over, folks. Then go to the restroom. Anyway.
As we wrap up today, I want to thank George for being our co-host and moderator. Thank you so much. All of the speakers. I'd list you by name, but that would take another 10 minutes. Thank you for being the speakers today. And to all of the listeners across the platforms of Clubhouse, Wisdom, LinkedIn, and here in Twitter Spaces, you could be anywhere in the world, but you're listening to us. The Conversationalists is not a closed club. So I want to make that clear. It was just the people who I knew I could probably get a yes out of the fastest. So if you love social audio and you're on Clubhouse, or if you're on Wisdom, if you're listening on Wisdom, you're listening on LinkedIn, you're on Twitter Spaces, and you're like, this is something I'd like to be a part of, DM any of the speakers that you know best, and we'll try to work you in. Not all of us can be here every week, and we may not be running this every week. I can't be here next week. But this is just an idea to bring people together to have great conversations. And I'm just so thankful that it worked. Thank you to everybody who said yes.
Thank you for the idea. That was Jason's idea, and thank you for the idea.
Reminder to all.
Thank you so much, Jason.
No problem. Reminder to all of the listeners, please give our speakers a follow. Remember, from our differences come strengths, and you'll hear those strengths in everybody's individual audio shows. I think that's about it. I think we can probably close her out.
Good night.
Okay,
Thank you, guys.
Good afternoon.
We'll chat amongst ourselves and see what's happening next week or in a couple weeks. Okay, take care, everybody.
Namaste.
Thanks again.
Have a good day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, space closing in 3, 2, 1.